So go ahead, start it off.
Well, we started the podcast because my pops said that I should start a podcast and become the next Pat McAfee, as he likes to say. And so I texted Matt and said, let's get this going. So we're
Yeah, I
gonna
mean,
s- you go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of always wanted to do a podcast. I know nobody's going to listen to it, but like, it's a great excuse to talk football, which is kind of my favorite thing. And I mean, we haven't talked football that much recently because we moved off to college. You know, the lunch table discussions like back in the day in high school and middle school, we don't get to have those anymore. So it's kind of an excuse now once a week to sit and talk ball.
Yep. So I want to start off with we're gonna talk college football. Obviously, I love college football. I'm not a huge NFL guy, but first thing we want to talk about is I don't know how many notes you actually took because you said you might not be prepared. But first thing on the itinerary, which I sent you, is we're going to talk about college football, who we got national title contenders, playoff teams, and teams that we're not really sure about. Kind of like Pitt is one of my examples. But so start off. Currently, I've got title contenders: Oregon, Georgia, and Texas. Those are my top three title contenders right now. That's it.
I mean,
Um,
I agree, but I have Oregon, Georgia, Texas, in Ohio State. Texas, actually, I don't know. I'm actually starting to lose hope in Texas. Right now, is my top three would be Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State.
I think
Because
Quinn's still hurt.
Texas, what?
I think Quinn's still dealing with something.
Yeah, but it's not going to get better. Um,
Play Arch.
is Arch ready? Is he ready to lead him to a national championship?
He's a beast. I think he is.
I mean, he didn't do anything amazing against Georgia. Like they didn't look like a great football team against Georgia besides those two drives.
O line was terrible.
I mean, Georgia physically manhandled them, and I think Georgia right now is the best team in the country. I think Georgia's better than Oregon. Personally, I wouldn't rank them right now, but like just by eye test, I would say I think if they went head to head right now, Kirby Smart's beating Dan Lanning.
Well, yeah, you can't rank him number one then because I lost to
No,
Bama.
yeah, which they played the worst first half of all time in that game. Um,
Yeah, and you
if
thought
it,
Bama was legit.
okay, yeah, I did, and they've proved me completely wrong because their pass defense is atrocious. And yeah, Jalen Milrow is the opposite of what he was last year. Last year he was at the very bottom and worked his way up to the top. Now he started at the top and he just keeps getting worse. And he has better receivers this year. I don't understand. I mean, I know everybody talks. I mean, he has Ryan Williams, the dude's a legit receiver. And I don't know. I think Georgia's right now. I think Georgia would beat right now every team in the country.
I can't disagree with you. That's why they're one of my title contenders. I left Ohio State out just because of well, you know my thoughts on Ryan Day. We're gonna get into Ryan Day here in a little bit, but um, so playoff caliber. We'll just move to that. With our title, I mean, there's not much else to say about title
Yeah,
contenders. I think Oregon and Georgia are the two best teams in the country right now. I think
yeah,
Oregon. Somebody said this. Oregon is what we expected Ohio State to be.
yeah. And Oregon. I mean, let's be honest. Oregon started off the year. They went from what number 3 to number 9 in the country. I mean, they played like crap against. I think they
Yeah,
started off at Idaho and they played Boise and they beat them by
Boise
3.
State's a good team.
Boise State's a good football team. I mean, I'm not wrong. Obviously, they have probably, in my opinion, the maybe he's right. He's one beef in my Heisman front runners. It's Dylan Gabriel.
We're gonna talk about Heisman front runners here in a
Yeah.
second.
But yeah, I think my playoff teams. I think Iowa State's going to win the Big 12. I think they're better than BYU. Miami's probably going to win the ACC. But Pitt might. I don't know.
I think Clemson's gonna win.
Clemson might win the ACC too.
Clemson has looked really good since that loss against
I
Georgia.
do have Clemson as a playoff team, but yes, they've looked.
I have him playoff caliber.
They're a legit playoff team or a legit football team right now. Tennessee, they have to go to Georgia in a few weeks, so that'll be interesting.
That'll show us. That'll really show us about Tennessee. I've got Tennessee as playoff caliber. My playoff caliber is Penn State.
Yeah, Penn
Just
State.
because, just because. I mean, they're a good team. They're not bad, but
James
after
Franklin.
Ohio State, they don't play anybody.
Yeah,
They're
James
going to
Franklin
end this.
hold it
They're
back.
going to end the season. They're either going to end the regular season undefeated or one loss.
Yeah, I mean,
And so they're going to get in.
I think they're a lock no matter what happens on Saturday.
Yeah, as long as they don't get upset. I got Penn State, Ohio State, Tennessee, Clemson, A&M. A&M's look really good.
I have A&M. I think Wigman started to figure out their quarterback ever since that Notre Dame game where he looked atrocious. But I think Notre Dame's a legit football team. I have Notre Dame in my playoff teams because, I mean, they've been dominant.
I got Notre Dame is not sure yet. I'm not.
I think Notre Dame's been really, like, I was kind of like, I don't know how good Navy is, to be honest. I mean, yeah, they were ranked, but they haven't lost, but they didn't really play anybody. But, I mean, they beat the hell out of them. They've beaten everybody dominantly since that Northern Illinois game.
Well, as soon as Navy had 2 turnovers in the first quarter, that was over. It didn't matter. It didn't matter how good Navy was or wasn't. After the 2 turnovers, they were screwed.
I think Riley Leonard's hard to figure it out again. And I think they beat Texas A&M in Texas A&M. I know it was week 1. Week 1's kind of a toss-up because you just don't know your football team yet, and things change, obviously, throughout this long season. But I think Notre Dame's a really good football team. They run the ball really well. They're a very physical football team.
I just can't get over the Northern Illinois loss, and they don't play in a conference. You don't play in a conference, that's tough.
But it kind of goes away this year with the 12-team playoff. Like, they don't have to.
But they're not going to get one of the top 4 seeds, or even top 4. They're not going to go to top 4 seed.
But they don't have a terribly hard schedule the rest of the year. They play Army. Obviously, he's ranked, but again,
it's going to be similar to Navy, probably.
Probably. And
I got to pull up the schedule.
USC, I think. In the year with USC.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So it's like they beat Louisville. I mean, Louisville's not a terrible football team. They beat Louisville pretty handedly. I mean, I don't see them losing the rest of the year. 11-1 Notre Dame with, I think they have the most ranked teams in the country right now, technically.
They don't play anybody the rest of the year. They play Florida State. I mean, well, USC is not a bad team. They do have to play at USC, so that's travel time. But
I mean, it's the Coliseum. It's not like it's a terribly crazy environment.
I mean, they play FSU. That's a lock.
Yeah, I mean,
Florida State's terrible. Then they play Virginia. They're not going to get beat by Virginia. Then they play Army at home. I mean, and then they play USC at USC, which is not, like we just said, not a hard place to play, really.
And then on my outside looking in, Indiana's right there. I think Indiana's a really good football team. I know, like, Nebraska's not great. But Nebraska's not a bad team, and they've just absolutely manhandled Nebraska. And Curtis Rourke, the OU transfer, your school, that dude slings it. I mean, he's hurt right now, but he's apparently throwing the ball last week, like in practice still. So, like, I don't think he's too hurt.
But that dude against Ohio State.
I think if
Ohio State's got their hands full against Ohio State. Ohio State has their hands full against Indiana.
Curt Cignetti deserves Coach of the Year, and there's no doubt in my mind about that. I don't care who's the number 1 team in the country. Curt Cignetti is the Coach of the Year, and there's no doubt about it.
Yep.
But if Curtis Rourke is back fully healthy against Ohio State, it is going to be a dogfight in Columbus. I think it will be. And I think it's hard to keep Indiana out at 11-1. And I know they haven't beat that many teams, or really any teams. But it's hard. I don't know how you could keep Indiana out if they go to Ohio State and lose 31-27. I don't know how you keep them out.
Yeah. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure about Pitt, just because they haven't played anybody. I mean, they haven't played anybody. I'm not really sure about BYU. I mean, they're undefeated and they beat up on some teams, but they haven't played anybody either. I feel the same way about Miami. They might be the number 6 team in the country, or 6 or 5 now.
Is Miami last year's Florida State?
I think that is very possible. That is very, very possible.
Cam Ward has the team on his back. Like, they are not a great football team, but Cam Ward is really good at football.
Their defense is terrible.
I mean, yes. I mean, they should have lost to Virginia Tech. They haven't really done a whole lot.
And they haven't played anybody.
Like, I think
Virginia Tech's the best team they've played.
I think you're right. I think right now I would take Clemson to win the ACC over Miami. Like, I think Pitt might beat Miami. I just don't know about Pitt yet. I think Eli Holstein's really good, their quarterback.
And
But
their defense looked great against Kyle McCord.
yeah, but like, yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure about them because they haven't played anybody.
but here's the thing with this. I mean, yeah, they 5 picks on Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord's been one of the best pocket passers in the country this year. I know we give him crap because he wasn't great at Ohio State, but statistically, he's been one of the best pocket passers in the country this year. And Pitt made him look terrible. Really, I mean, obviously 3 pick sixes.
He looked awful. I'm not sure about Iowa State either. I mean, I like Iowa State, but I just don't.
Big 12 is not very good. I mean, hell, Colorado could win it right now. They only have 1 loss. Colorado could win the Big 12 still.
Kansas State could win still.
Kansas State. I mean, the Big 12 is a crapshoot. It is not a good conference.
But whoever it is going to get the 4 seed.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but like think about whoever the 5 seed is. The 5 seed gets to play probably Boise State, who's obviously not a bad football team. They're not a Power 4 caliber football team or Power 4 playoff team. And then you get the Big 12 winner. You think of Ohio State or Oregon or Penn State's the 5 seed. They're not just this is awesome. I get to play Boise State at home, and then I got to go to Iowa State. Sweet, or no, you get to
play. Yeah, you get to play Iowa State at a neutral site. I mean,
yeah, you play Iowa State. I think it's the Cotton Bowl because I think the Big Ten winner is going to be at the Rose Bowl, and then the SEC winner is going to be, or maybe SEC is the Cotton Bowl. I don't know. The Big Ten and SEC are already protected for 2 bowl games, and then I think ACC goes to the Fiesta Bowl or Orange Bowl. I don't know. I forgot. I saw it earlier and I forget now. But I know Big Ten for sure goes to the Rose Bowl for their bowl game.
I'm not sure. You talked about Indiana, obviously, but I'm not sure about them yet just because they haven't played anybody. But, I mean, their offense is great. And like you said, Nebraska's not a great team, but they're a good football team, which they showed against Ohio State last week. I mean, they mauled Ohio State's offensive line and made them look like pansies, and Indiana just piled right through them. I mean, it was just a beatdown the whole game.
I mean, is the loss of Simmons, our left tackle, Ohio State's left tackle, is it that big of a deal? I mean,
which is sad because I don't like Simmons. He was one of the most penalized offensive linemen last year, and I don't think he's that good. He's a terrible pass blocker. He is a good run blocker though, because obviously we couldn't run the ball last week. And he's a terrible pass blocker, but the backup is even worse.
Yeah, then he got hurt, and then you had to move what's his name to left tackle.
What did they do? They moved Tegra out there, I think. Shabula.
Yeah. And then they brought another backup guard in to play guard.
They brought in Luke Montgomery, I think. They left Donovan Jack. I thought they might bump Jackson out to left tackle, from guard to tackle, and then they would put another guard there. We're going to get into OSU's O-line, though, when we talk about our problems with OSU.
I think we just go into that right now. I think this is a good segue.
I want to talk about our college football playoffs right now.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about our rankings.
Because we were just talking about. Give me your 1 through 12.
At 1, I have Georgia. At 2, I have Ohio State. I think they're going to come back, win the Big Ten. At 3, I have Clemson's going to win the ACC. 4, Iowa State. 5, Oregon. 6, Penn State. 7, Notre Dame. 8, Texas A&M. 9, Miami. 10, Texas. 11, Tennessee. 12, Boise State. That's how I see it shaking out.
I've got Oregon at 1. I don't trust OSU right now. I got Georgia at 2. Clemson at 3. I got them win the ACC. And the Big 12, I don't really know. So I've got BYU there right now. And then I think it's between them and Iowa State. But like we said, anybody could come away with the Big 12 right now because Colorado's only got 1 Big 12 loss. K-State only has 1 Big 12 loss. It's a crapshoot. And then I've got Miami at 5. I think they'll lose. That'll be their only loss will be to Clemson. If it's a close game, then they'll be 5. Well, it could be. You could flip-flop either one of these two. I got Miami at 5 currently, and then OSU at 6. I think if OSU loses a close Big Ten game, they'll be 5. But don't really know. OSU at 6, Penn State at 7 with 1 loss.
Yeah.
I got Texas at 8, Tennessee at 9, A&M 10, Notre Dame 11, Boise State 12.
I
So
think
we
right
have
now
a lot of the same teams.
12.
We have a lot of the same teams.
Yeah, it's just a flip-flop order. I mean, it could be. Who knows what the committee thinks? Let's be honest.
All right, let's talk about problems at Ohio State. My number one is Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Just communication between coaches. I'm all over Twitter. All over Twitter. I'm all about the Twitter guys that are talking about Ryan Day. Summary from was this today? This was yesterday, but summary from what Ryan Day had to say at press conferences and stuff. Ryan Day wants the D-line to rotate more to be fresh in the fourth quarter. Jim Knowles said he defers all the D-line rotations to Larry Johnson, and he's comfortable with Larry's decisions. Can we please get everyone on the same page? I mean, what are we doing? I mean, what? And then this same guy also said if CEO Ryan Day keeps CEO Ryan Day, which is what he took that from. What's Missouri's coach's name?
Eli Drinkowitz.
Eli Drinkowitz. He said he was more of a CEO. He took that from. He said he was going to be CEO. Keeps saying he wants the D line to be rotated so guys are fresh in the fourth quarter, and it's not happening. At what point do you say there's insubordination from someone on the defensive staff? So you got Ryan Day, the head coach, is saying we need to rotate D-line. He said that after the Oregon game because our D-line was gassed. You got Jack Sawyer playing 65 snaps a game. He's a freaking defensive lineman for crying out loud. He's not meant to play 65 snaps a game.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
I mean, obviously I'm biased. I'm a Steelers fan. But you watch T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt will play consistent snap, like 3 drives, drive off. 3 drives, 2 drives, drive off. And then, fourth quarter comes around, he's as fresh as he can be at that point because he's getting drives off. Yeah, maybe they'll let up a big play. But fourth quarter comes around, T.J. Watt's coming around getting that strip sack because he's fresh. And Ohio State doesn't do that. Ohio State has no pressure on the quarterback, really. Like, that used to be Ohio State's thing was we're going to rush the passer, D-line's going to get home. And it just doesn't happen.
There's no blitz either.
No, it's just the same.
You watch the Oregon game, we rushed 4 the entire game.
Yeah, and I mean, Dylan
got
Gabriel
no pressure.
It's apart. Yeah, it works against Western Michigan, but you play a legit quarterback like Dylan Gabriel, he's gonna stand there and pick you apart. Kyle McCord could pick us apart, I think, because he would have time to throw.
If you play a legit quarterback with a legit offensive line, you can't rush 4 the whole game.
And you have speed. You can't tell me you can't have Sonny Styles come off the edge. Like, not like an edge rusher, but just send Sonny Styles on an edge blitz coming around Jack Sawyer. You tell me you can't do that? Like, it just doesn't happen. Like, you just don't see any mix-up. It's just the same defense every single week.
And then, like I said, you got Sawyer playing 65 snaps a game. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
There's other guys that came to Ohio State, high-rated recruits. They came to play football. They didn't come to stand on the sideline and just hold somebody's jockstrap.
You're telling me they're that bad that they can't get in the game? They can't get 2 drives?
That's terrible. It's terrible. Ryan Day's clock management is awful. Also awful. Let's go back to the Georgia game that we lost when he decided, let's kick a 47-yard field goal instead of trying to get closer. When you had a minute or so left with 2 timeouts and you just drove all the way down the field.
And you had C.J. Stroud playing the game of his life. You're telling me he couldn't make a 10-yard throw right there?
At least 10 yards.
I mean, obviously Marv was out at the time because he got hit concussion, but he still had receiver galore.
But you marched down the field to that point. You started at the 20-yard line. You marched all the way down that far, and then you're like, we're just going to hold it here and kick a 47. It was a 40-some-odd yard field goal, which is not a gimme for a college kicker.
No,
maybe in the NFL.
But it's like he panics. He panics in big time situations.
He's not a big time coach. I don't care what anybody says. He's just not. And then people are like, the Ohio State fans just need to chill out. Blah blah blah. Urban Meyer was on his podcast, The Triple Option or whatever, with Mark Ingram and what's I don't know the other guys. He's another Fox guy, but he's on that podcast and he's talking about the problems in Columbus, and he says you can't tell the Ohio State fans to chill out because they're not going to.
No,
people expect Ohio State fans expect a lot. He said it's just like Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia now, especially because Kirby Smart has made them a great team. But people expect a level of um, excellence. That's what we expect. So we want to see it.
I think there's some part of me thinks there's some kind of, I don't want to say there's a problem, but the culture is not the same. Like when Urban Meyer's teams took the field, they were tough. They were fun to watch. Like when Ryan Days got there, like I just don't see it as much. It's just like they're always just a really good football team, but they're never like, and with really good players, but it's just, I don't know. It just hasn't been the same. Like I feel like the energy is not the same as it was when Meyer was there.
No, it's not. It's not.
And I don't know. It's just
it's like when somebody got spit on against Oregon.
oh yeah. And
Urban Meyer team, somebody would have went up in that guy's face, ripping his freaking helmet off. I mean, there would have been a brawl.
yeah. And
You need guys like that. You need guys that are just nasty guys. Like they love football and they love the guys they're out there playing with. And once they get on the field, they're just mean. I don't see that.
Obviously, hate that team up north, but they out-toughed us the last 3 years. That's the reason they were tougher than us.
Where's Lou Holtz right now?
Yeah, I mean, really, going to call it an 87-year-old man? And it probably was asleep. He's like 11 o'clock at night. He was probably asleep.
He was at home watching Matt Law.
Yeah, I mean, like, really, you're gonna get mad at a guy, but Lou Holtz wasn't wrong. That's the thing. Lou Holtz wasn't wrong when he said it.
He wasn't wrong, and Michigan proved that later in the year.
I mean,
that's like anybody who wants to say Ryan Day won a big game against Notre Dame. Notre Dame wasn't good.
No, it's Notre Dame. They're overrated every year. Let's be honest.
Every single year. Every single year.
I mean, in all reality, Ohio State should have lost that football game. Notre Dame had 10 players on the field.
Yeah. Yep. Another, obviously, a huge problem with Ohio State is the O-line. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, last year in the bowl game against Missouri, I mean, that was miserable. That was one of the worst football games I have ever watched. What was it? The score was 10-7 or something?
Yeah, I mean, it was
just we got the offensive line got destroyed, and then people want to blame it on Keenholz not being ready and Devin Brown. I mean, Devin Brown obviously got hurt. He sucks anyways. I mean, we can talk about that too if you want to, but he's terrible.
Let's be honest. Keenholz and Brown probably won't play much with Noland and.
No, Keenholz is going to leave. He'll go somewhere else and he'll be a good player. He's just not good enough to play at a high school.
He could go like Missouri or something. Probably be. Missouri's downfall this year shocked me. I thought Missouri's going to be a really good team this year. Sorry, I know it was random, but I thought Missouri was going to be a really good football team this year because they had most of their guys back, as good as they were last year, and they just have been very disappointing. But you know who is? I like Vandy. Vandy's a good football team. I like their quarterback.
Pavia.
I mean, they put Texas on the ropes. Let's be honest. It was a 3-point game. I know it was a late touchdown, garbage time touchdown, you want to say, but it was a good football game for most of the game.
Yeah.
And obviously they beat Bama. They should have beat Missouri too, like really honestly. They have Tennessee later in the year, so maybe, and it's at home, I think.
They're not beating Tennessee.
Let Diego cook.
They're not beating Tennessee.
All right. So what do we think about Ohio State, Penn State?
Huh?
What do we think about Ohio State, Penn State?
Well, I'm still talking about the offensive line.
Oh, you're still okay.
You got our starting center for the whole year leading up to the bowl game was Carson Hinsman.
Mm-hmm.
He was not bad. He wasn't great, but he was a freshman. Mm-hmm. He was good for a freshman.
He hasn't played yet this year, has he?
Because he went on a podcast, talked shit about Ryan Day, because he talked about the culture, like we just talked about, and how nobody is tough, talked about the culture, and now he's been in the doghouse ever since.
Yeah. I mean, because obviously he wouldn't play center this year with.
No, but he can play guard.
Yeah. He's freshman last year and he played solid.
But it wasn't like there was a ton of pressure up the middle.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
He hasn't been on the field.
No, and he didn't
He
even
hasn't
come in
played a
last
down
week.
of football.
When our backup tackle got hurt, he didn't even come in the game last week. Like to play
No,
guard, unless they only see him as a center, which I don't think is the case.
that's not a, that's
most
just not a thing. That's not a thing.
most
You're not
centers
only
play
a center.
yeah, most centers can play a guard.
You can play guard. Maybe not tackle, but you can definitely play guard. So,
Yeah.
so all because he goes on, talks about Ryan Day, hurts Ryan Day's feelings, he doesn't get to play anymore.
But let's be honest, can't necessarily do that. I mean, he can't.
But at the same time, nothing he said was wrong.
No, but
the truth hurts.
That has to be like he can't go on a podcast and say that.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's been a lot of time since that happened and since we started playing football again.
Yeah. I don't know. They got to figure it out because Penn State's defense is obviously good again. Their D line's good again. That's what Penn State does. They breed good D linemen, edge rushers, linebackers.
Yeah, let's talk OSU Penn State.
Here's what's the good thing for Ohio State. The game's at noon, so you don't have to play in a whiteout. Because it's loud. It is extreme.
It'll still be loud.
It'll still be loud, but it's noon. The fans aren't as drunk. They're still waking up a little bit. It's not as loud as a night game, fireworks, whiteout, Mo Bamba playing. It'll still be playing, but it won't be. It'll be at noon, and I think that gives Ohio State a little bit of an advantage, but it helps them out a little bit.
Well, Ohio State has to run the ball.
Ohio State has to run the ball.
You can't just count on the passing game. Yeah, you have great receivers and you have great talent out there, but you have two of the best running backs in the nation. And last week you rushed for 62 yards against Nebraska. Yeah, I understand that Ty Robinson and Hutmacher are going to go to the NFL, but Donovan Jackson's supposed to go to the NFL. McLaughlin's supposed to go to the NFL. Center and guard.
Yeah.
And you can't run the ball for 62 yards in an entire football game? Well, how about this? Ryan Day says to the reporter, we need to run the ball more. You get a 1st and 10, and the first thing you do is throw an interception coming out of half. So you say, we need to run the ball more. You know how much I love running the ball.
Yeah.
You come out and say, we need to run the ball more. You would think one of the first plays you run is a run play. No, you pass the ball and throw an interception.
Well, here's the thing, too. A reporter asked Chip Kelly about, hey, Will Howard's a dual-threat quarterback. Why doesn't he ever run the ball? And pretty much Kelly said, just don't get him hurt. Well, what's the point of him being a dual-threat quarterback?
What's him even playing?
Like, there's risk involved with football. I mean, you think Miami would be there where they'd be if they didn't run Cam Ward? No. Lamar Jackson would be Lamar Jackson if he didn't run the ball? Like, there's risk. Tell him to slide. He's 6'5". Tell him to dive.
Jaden Daniels would be where he is if he doesn't run the ball? Yeah. No.
I mean, he's 6'5", 2, whatever. Put him lower his shoulder a couple times. Get a first down. And it's not Will Howard's fault. I mean, he scrambles, but there's just no design QB runs. That's none of her threat.
I just saw not too long ago. I don't know if Urban's podcast comes out today or whatever, the triple option, whatever. I think it's called triple option, but whenever it comes out, I think it came out today because I saw a bunch of clips from it. And he said, you need to simplify the run game. Zone right, zone left. Power right, power left. Simple stuff. Simplify it for the O-line. Easy stuff that works. Time tested, it works. And he also said, run the quarterback. That's an X factor. If your quarterback can run, that changes the game. You get 10 blockers instead of 11. Your quarterback instead of 9. Your quarterback doesn't block after he hands the ball off. Your running back can block for the quarterback.
I mean, that's 10 blockers. Think about Urban's teams.
Exactly.
Think about how much our QBs ran the ball back then.
Exactly. I mean, he said Will Howard needs to run the ball 15 to 20 times. I mean, that's probably a little extreme for Ryan Day because he loves passing the ball all the time and throwing little dinky dunk screen passes that are a waste of time. But same with Chip Kelly. Obviously, it's his offense and he's calling plays. But Ryan Day liked to do the same thing when he was calling plays.
I mean, but Day and Kelly are also like this. I mean, they've coached together for a long time, so their offenses are pretty similar.
But it's like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to work.
Yeah.
The screen passes do work sometimes. You can run a few of them. But when you run a ton of them every game, I mean, it's a waste of your time. Just run the ball. It's so much easier for you to turn around and hand the ball off to a running back who actually knows how to maneuver through blocks. Wide receivers are meant to be in open space, catch a ball, make a dude miss, and then go. They're not running backs. They don't know how to read. I mean, they somewhat know how to read blocks, but not good. If you watch a wide receiver catch a screen pass and try to read blocks, most of the time it looks terrible. That's why they get tackled after 1 yard. Hand the running back the ball or let your quarterback run. Will Howard needs to run the ball. He can run. If you watch his film at Kansas State, he can run.
Yeah. He won a Big 12 championship with Kansas State.
Yeah. Beat
and it's not.
TCU.
He's a good quarterback. He is a very good quarterback. And it's not his fault that we lost the Oregon game. Yes, did he make that one mistake? Yes. But it wasn't his fault we lost that Oregon game. He played really well.
He played great.
You're going to hate to hear this, but I just got an alert that Judge and Chisholm just went back-to-back in the first inning, so the Yankees are up 3. Judge broke out of his slump. So I didn't reject that, but yeah. Go Dodgers.
If the Yankees come back and win this series, I'm going to be so pissed. I don't think they will once it goes back to LA. If it does, I mean, Dodgers could obviously still win, but today. But
I mean,
they have to score now off Cole.
They have to beat Cole today, and then they have to beat Carlos Rodon tomorrow, who got shelled last time.
Well, yeah, Rodon looked terrible last time, so I'm not too worried about him.
But he's not going to come back looking bad. He's going to come back with a chip on his shoulder. But the Dodgers lineup's so good that I don't know if it matters.
Yeah, I don't know.
They could very well hit Cole today. It's just all depends on who's hitting and who's not. But I didn't expect. I really hope that the Yankees don't come back, but there's a chance because their pitching beats the Dodgers pitching, but the Dodgers lineup beats the Yankees lineup unless Judge now is out of his slump and he's going to hit 2 homers a game.
My keys for OSU versus Penn State are OSU has to run the ball. O-line figure it out. That's another thing that I forgot to talk about, Ryan Day. O-line coach is his best man. Never fire the guy. O-line's been awful for years now, multiple years leading up to now. Obviously, you have a coaching problem. Figure it out. So, and then rotate D-line better, which we said we were going to do last week, but we didn't. Sawyer still played 65 snaps. Rotate D-line better. Defense has to stop the run, which they haven't done a terrible job at. Their run defense has been pretty good, but once you got guys that are gassed in there in the fourth quarter, and their running backs fresh, that's a problem. Figure out pass coverage. I mean, Denzel Burke he's supposed to be good, supposed to be great, but obviously against Oregon, we saw him get exposed.
Yeah.
And you've got other guys behind him that are really good.
I mean, they just kept putting Burke on an island, and he just kept getting
Burke. You can't put him. Can't do that again. And then another thing I had is Aller might be out, but
Bo's not bad.
His backup's not bad.
And I think Aller's going to – there's no way Aller misses the Ohio State game.
It might be better if he does play for Ohio State.
I don't know. Aller, he's better than he was.
Especially if his knee is bad.
He's better than he was last year. But, yeah, if he can't run, that takes – I mean, because Aller's a good runner. He is.
His backup might be a better runner, though.
Yeah,
that's another problem.
Got to stop Tyler Warren.
I think
that dude is a really good football player.
I don't know who played. I don't know who plays quarterback, but either way, Ohio State's defense is going to have their hands full because Pribula, or Bo is his first name, dual threat. And last week against Wisconsin in the second half, he was 11 for 13, 98 yards and a touchdown.
Well, he played
11 for 13.
He played really well last week.
And then he had 6 carries for 28 yards. It's almost 5 yards a carry. He can run.
Penn State's got a two-headed monster running back with Katron and Singleton.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to have to – this is probably the most nervous I've been about Ohio State-Penn State game in a little bit because I think Penn State's a good team. I think Penn State's good. And I mean, obviously, Penn State's been kind of overrated in the past couple of years. They always go 10-2 because James Franklin can't win the big games. But I don't know. They're a good football team this year. It's going to be a test. It's going to see what Ohio State's got, especially coming off that abysmal performance against Nebraska.
Yeah. Well, and then you've got James Franklin has lost his last 10 games against big top 5 teams. Ryan Day's lost his last 4. So somebody's got to win this game, and they both need it because Ohio State fans are pissed. Penn State fans, I mean, they're pissed, but
I mean, I've talked to
Penn State obviously loves James Franklin.
Not really. I've talked to some Penn State fans. They're not the biggest James Franklin.
Not the fans, but obviously somebody at the program does.
He's a good recruiter. James Franklin's a good recruiter. He's just not a good coach. You can say
the same thing about Ryan Day.
Ryan Day's the same way. They're just not – I saw a tweet. It made me laugh. Ryan Day is the Michael Jordan of James Franklin's.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a little bit better. He's just better than James. He's just better. Yeah.
I mean,
he's a great recruiter. He's a great recruiter. Can't win the big game.
Harbaugh is a significantly better coach than Ryan Day was.
Because Harbaugh didn't bring in a ton of 5-star recruits. But man, did they beat the shit out of us the past couple of years.
Harbaugh's just a really good football coach. I mean, look what we did with the Chargers. Chargers last year, they've always had talent. They have less talent than they did last year. Last year they were terrible, and this year they're pretty good. They're one of the best defenses in football.
They're pretty good.
And they have less talent. And obviously still have Herbert, but Jim Harbaugh was a really good football coach. I mean, he took the Niners to the Super Bowl, won national championship to Michigan, and that's why Ryan Day got out-coached. But Meyer could out-coach Harbaugh.
We get out-coached in almost every facet of the game. I got to pull this up. I got to find Jim Knowles' stats against top 5 teams. I don't know if you've seen. You've probably seen them.
I've seen them. They're bad.
2022 Michigan, 530 yards. 2022 Georgia, 533 yards. 2023 Michigan, 338 yards. 2024 Oregon, 496 yards. Almost 1,900 yards and 149 points in 4 games.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Jim, I mean, you have so much talent on your defensive side of the football.
But he's just set in his ways. He doesn't change anything. No. He doesn't adjust. He makes no adjustments.
No. And, our defensive numbers look good, obviously, but that's because part of it is we play not great teams, and our talent is just that much better.
Yeah.
When we play a real team, our talent can only do so much. And then you give 32 points to Oregon or 50 to Georgia or Michigan coming in and putting up 31 last year and 42 the year before. Everybody, big good team. They usually what they do is run the ball because they out-physical us. Every team out-physicals us mostly.
That's the thing. It's like you think about Urban Meyer. Nobody out-physicaled his teams. Nobody. No. Those guys went out there and just mauled people. Did Urban lose some games that he shouldn't have? Yeah. But did he win big games? You bet your ass he did. He was 7-0 against Michigan. I don't care if you want to say Michigan didn't have any good teams when we played Meyer. Well, yeah, but we beat the crap out of them every year we did play them. They did have some good teams.
At the end of Meyer's tenure, Michigan, that's when Harbaugh came. That's when Michigan was good. Remember,
they did have some good teams, and he beat
them. Double OT game in Columbus.
He found ways to win. That's the thing. Urban Meyer found ways to win against big teams. Ryan Day does not.
Ryan Day finds ways to lose.
Exactly. Clock management.
Georgia and Oregon.
Play calls. I mean, how about I can't remember who we were playing. 4th and 1, 4th and inches. He decides to run a jet sweep. This was when he was calling plays. Yeah. He decides to run a jet sweep. What are you doing? It's 4th and 1. Run a QB sneak.
Yeah.
The football is a simple game. It really is. When it comes down to it, it is a simple game that these guys love to overcomplicate. And something my dad says is these offense coordinators love to outsmart themselves. It's like, it's 3rd and 1. What should we do? They think we're going to run it. Oh no, we're going to throw a pass. We're going to throw a deep ball.
Yeah.
Don't outsmart yourself. Get the first down.
Or they're gonna pinch the box. Let's run a toss sweep.
Yeah, let's run a toss. Let's run a toss play on 4th and 1.
Why? It gets stupid. It takes way longer to develop. You got no momentum going for the running back. Like all the linebackers have to do is just follow the running back and just flow through and hit him. I mean, it's not hard.
It's like when Coach Miller decided to run inside toss from the
Fourth
two-point
and
conversion
fourth
play.
and the 8. Yeah, home on the field, we're at the 8-yard line. Toss leak was already called. He said, "Let's keep running it." And then our tight end decided to
Oh
go
man,
a pass route because he thought we were gonna fake
good
it.
times.
I told him no, but
Good times.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wrote any notes down for Duke Miami. Did you write notes down for the games?
No, but I know it. I have an idea of what I.
Duke Miami. I said Duke is possibly Miami's toughest opponent up to this point. Manny Diaz is a good coach. He's a good defensive coordinator. He's a good coach. I think Miami will still win, but not by. They're favored by 21.5. They're not going to win by that.
No, no.
They'll win, but not by that. I mean, they beat Cal by what, 1?
Yeah, and
They will not beat. They're not beating Duke by 21.5.
I think Duke's quarterback's good. Malik Murphy, the Texas transfer.
He's
I think
good.
he's a solid quarterback. I don't think Duke's a great football team. I think they're a good football team, but like,
I think Manny Diaz's first year. I mean, he's got time. He's got to build the program up. They're not a great team, but they're a good team. They're a solid team. I think they'll give Miami trouble.
Yeah, I think Miami will still win. Ole Miss, Arkansas. In Arkansas, in Fayetteville.
I said Ole Miss looks great offensively on the very first drive of the game. Then you don't know what's going to happen.
Ole Miss is a very talented team. They're just not great.
Lane Kiffin loves outsmart himself.
Lane Kiffin can coach offense, but
it's like I said, their first drive, which is scripted, they look amazing. Yes. Everybody's first drive scripted. They look great.
Yes.
But then after that, it's just like, who knows what's going to happen?
I don't know. I think they'll beat Arkansas.
I think they'll win. I've got them picked to win.
Arkansas is not a bad team, and they should have beat Alabama. They beat Tennessee, but that could be an upset. I think Ole Miss is definitely on upset alert.
For sure. Arkansas's played a lot of teams tough. They played who they play? They played Tennessee. Obviously, they beat them. They played somebody else though, and it was close. Bama, yeah.
They got the onside kick against Bama, and they scored.
It was close. Oregon versus that team up north. My first note is that team up north is awful.
Oregon's going to steamroll them. I mean,
I said they're incapable of passing the ball, and I said the only way Michigan wins is if they run for 200 plus and deflate the clock. Just take the air out of the ball.
You won't have Oregon's defense is too good for Michigan to run.
I'm saying that's the only way they win. Michigan's offensive line is good.
Yeah, but Oregon's defense.
They are tough. They are a tough team.
Is one of the best defensive coaches in football.
Yeah. But Michigan is just they can't pass the ball. If you can't, they're one-dimensional.
Yeah,
I mean they can. They are technically capable of passing the ball, but the way they pass the ball is awful. They have no big play ability. They can't break the game. And I said Oregon's a complete team that dismantled Illinois last week, and Illinois beat Michigan. Michigan's got a tough. Michigan's got a
game, but I don't think they care.
Pitt versus SMU. I'm not really sure. I said I'm not really sure about either team. I said it's huge for both of them in terms of the ACC, and Pitt has the opportunity as an undefeated team to really make a statement if they can go into SMU and beat them up. But I don't know if they can. I haven't watched either one of them play enough to really know. But, I mean, I watched Pitt's defense look really good against Syracuse. And like you said, McCord has been one of the best pocket passers in the nation this year. So I really don't know what to expect.
I'm taking Pitt to win. I don't know. I just think they're riding high right now. I think SMU they're a decent team. Still weird to me they're an ACC team, but yeah. I think Pitt is the better team. I think they are more talented. I think Narduzzi is a really good football coach. So I'd take Pitt personally. But yeah, I haven't watched either team a ton. I watched the Pitt Syracuse game a little bit. I watched Pitt WVU, but I think I've watched one SMU game. But yeah, I think Pitt's gonna win. I think Pitt has a legit shot at the playoff. I think they're really good. I think they're good.
Let's do some game predictions, and then we got to talk about we still got to talk about our Heisman runners. So we're gonna do all the ranked games, and then we're gonna do all of the Power Four.
It's a lot of games.
So we'll start with the unranked games, and we'll start with the unranked games in ACC, Big 12, Big 10, SEC, and then we'll end with our Ohio State, Penn State picks because it's the biggest game of the week. So that's what we'll try to do. We'll try to end with the biggest game of the week every week. So ACC, I've got NC State over Stanford. That's no brainer. Virginia Tech over Syracuse. That'll be a good game, I think.
Where's it at?
I think it's at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, give me Virginia Tech then.
Let me see. Who do you got? You got NC State over Stanford?
Yeah. I mean, NC State's quarterback Grayson McCall's out, but I still think they're better.
I got UNC over FSU. Obviously, FSU has looked terrible all season. Virginia Tech's at Syracuse.
Oh, it is at Syracuse. The Carrier Dome. Yeah.
I'm still going Virginia Tech.
I think Virginia Tech's good. I don't know. Syracuse. I mean, who knows how McCord's going to respond to the 5 interception game. It's not easy.
Big 12. I got UCF over Arizona. Arizona looked good at the start of the season, but they've just been. UCF's a decent team. They've played a lot of teams tough.
Yeah, I think UCF. That's Malzahn. I think UCF.
I got Okie State over Arizona State.
No, I think Arizona State. I think Arizona State's good. I do.
I think Okie State's got it.
I think Oklahoma State has just been very, very disappointing this year.
They have been disappointing, but I think they'll win. I got TCU over Baylor.
Yeah, I agree.
Big 10, Northwestern over Purdue. I mean, that's a crapshoot. Both teams are terrible.
I got Nebraska over UCLA.
Nebraska, I do too. Yeah.
And then little Big 10 West battle. I have Wisconsin going into Kinnick and winning.
I think that'll be a good game, but I've got Iowa.
At night, I know it's tough, but I don't know. I think Wisconsin looked pretty good last week. I think they're going to go in. They're going to upset Iowa.
I think Iowa gets it. And then I've got USC over Washington. Washington's a good team, but Lincoln Riley's going to have to start winning games. I think he's going to win this one.
Who do we got in the SEC? Vanderbilt and Auburn. Vanderbilt.
Vandy. I think Auburn's favored to win that game.
They are. They're a touchdown favorite.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Vandy wins it. I got Oklahoma over Maine, obviously.
You have to pick that. I mean, yeah.
And then Mississippi State over UMass. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
All right, now we'll move to the ranked games. So the first one I've got is number 15, Boise State versus South Dakota State. San Diego State, I mean. I got Boise State. Boise State's good.
They're like 23.5 point favorites. They'll dominate.
Duke Miami. Number 5, Miami.
At Miami.
It'll be close, though.
Yeah. I still think Ole Miss.
It's not going to be a 21-point game.
No. I think Ole Miss beats Arkansas.
Yep.
Army beats Air Force. Air Force is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois. Minnesota's favored, actually.
I got Minnesota. Minnesota's a good team. They should have beat Michigan. They got shafted against Michigan.
They should have beat North Carolina, too, if their kicker made any of his 3 missed field goals.
I got Minnesota.
I don't know.
It'll be a close game.
Brett Bielema and the Fighting Illini at home.
All right. It's going to be a close game, I think.
Oregon. Georgia.
Yep.
Over Florida. Iowa State should beat Texas Tech.
Yep.
Indiana should take care of Michigan State.
Yep.
Even if it works out. Kansas State. Houston's not very good. Kansas State will.
No, K-State will murder them.
I don't know, murder them. They barely beat Kansas, but.
I love Avery Johnson.
Carolina. At South Carolina.
It'll be a good game for maybe a quarter or two, but Texas A&M is going to win that game.
At night at South Carolina, that place was rocking for that LSU game.
Well, they were because they thought they were going to beat them. They thought they were going to be good.
I mean, they should have beat LSU, for being honest.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to beat them. A&M's rolling. I like Elko.
He's turned Duke around.
I wasn't sure about him after they lost to Notre Dame, but
yeah,
he's got that team rolling now.
I still think they have a great quarterback. I think Wingman's okay, but I don't think he's a great quarterback. Yeah. You give him a good quarterback.
I mean, the other guy can run.
It's true.
So he might roll with him. I don't know if we'll roll with him, but he could.
They're not they're a good team.
Clemson obviously beats Louisville. I think Louisville's not that good of a team.
Tennessee's got the all black unis this week. Spooky Rocky Top. Give me Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Obviously, I think we both took Pitt over SMU.
No,
you took SMU.
I got SMU. SMU's my pick.
I got Pitt.
At SMU. It'll be a good game, I think.
SMU is favored by a touchdown and a half.
It'll be a good game. And then Ohio State, Penn State. I've actually got a score for this.
So do I.
I got Ohio State 24-21.
I have Ohio State 27-23.
I couldn't pick against them, but
no, I can't either.
I just don't really. I really do not know. I'm worried. It's the first time in a long time I have been worried about Penn State.
If it was night, I'd pick Penn State. If it was a night game, I'd pick Penn State. But
that atmosphere is still going to be crazy. Like you said, it's not going to be as crazy as a night game, but it's still going to be. It's going to be louder than the shoe. That's another thing. The shoe is terrible atmosphere.
It's just a bunch of old people who get tickets every year and just sit there.
Nobody is afraid to play at Ohio State.
No,
I would say that right now.
There's 110,000 people, but I went to Ohio State, Penn State last year. It was a 3-7 game, I think, 4-7, something like that. And then I went to Penn State, Illinois this year for the whiteout, which was number 5 versus number 20.
Yeah.
And the Penn State environment was unbelievable. I mean, my ears were hurting. It was so loud there. It was an unbelievable environment.
I think the loudest Ohio State game I've been to, it was either against Michigan. I've been to an OSU Michigan game, and I've been to an OSU Penn State game. And they're pretty loud, but I mean, it's not like other places you go there, they're loud the whole game. Texas A&M's field. Well, another problem is we don't ever play night games. We don't ever get night games at home.
No, we do get night games against Western Michigan in week 2.
Yeah. Who gives a shit? Nobody. I'm not going to watch Ohio State play Western Michigan at night. Who cares? Yeah. They're going to beat them.
Kickoff whenever we have a big game. Not at night.
It's Fox's problem. They used to air games at night. They used to have a primetime game at night in primetime when primetime games are supposed to be played.
But now Fox gets their protected games, and they obviously pick. Yep. I mean, Ohio State, Michigan at noon is fine. That's how it always is.
Yeah, fine. That's fine.
But Ohio State, Penn State was always night. And that Fox protected it because they had the contract or whatever. They get the noon game. CBS gets 3:30. NBC gets 7:30. And I also hate CBS. I'm the Big Ten on CBS because it's just not the same. Yeah. I mean, you get Iowa, Ohio State at 3:30 when it could be Tennessee, Alabama.
SEC just has so many more ranked games because obviously there is a huge bias towards the SEC. I don't care what anybody says. There's a huge bias towards the SEC, but they always have ranked games.
Yeah.
So you can put a ranked SEC game at 3:30. You can't always do that with the Big Ten because the Big Ten doesn't always have 10 ranked teams or 6 ranked teams.
But I haven't minded the SEC on ABC. I miss the SEC on CBS, but the 3:30 slot is usually it's the second best SEC game of the week, and the 7:30 slot's the big game with Kirk and Chris. And
Lane Kiffin was pissed that they didn't get any night games. So he was pissed about. Did you see that?
No.
So some reporter asked him about how he felt about the rest of their games are at noon or 3:30, I think, and their time is 11.
Yeah.
He was like, I just feel bad for the fans. I feel bad for the fans. They never get a night game. And then he goes, "Who's at night? Probably LSU. Go figure." So, which is true. Death Valley always gets night games. They're supposed to spread those games around. I mean, they should. I mean, I can't necessarily disagree with them. It's not like Ole Miss is a bad team. They're a good football team. Like you said, they're really talented. They deserve a night game. Their fans deserve a night game. It's a storied program. Like they deserve a night game. So I can't disagree with them.
But I mean, they're going to take the LSU's, they're going to take Alabama, Georgia. They're going to take those teams first, depending in Texas.
All right, Heisman front runners, and then we'll go to NFL.
All right, I have 4. Number 1, 1A. I have Dylan Gabriel, just because. I mean, he's 30 years old, and then number 1B, Ashton Jeanty. I mean, he's the modern right now. He's having a modern year, Barry Sanders year. Yeah. I mean, he's really, really good. He's so hard to tackle. He doesn't go down.
He went down because he went down because he rushed for 140 some yards against whoever they played last week. There was like 8 or 9 dudes in the box every play.
They don't stop him. You can't stop him.
And he still rushed for over 100 yards. I mean,
he ran all over Oregon.
Keep going. You finish off your 3.
Number 3, I have Travis Hunter. I mean, he's what he does. I mean, to play 100 and some snaps a game at wide receiver and corner, and maybe he's not the best at either one, but he's right there at the top towards either one. I mean, and to just do that, like, that's insane. I mean, playing one side of the ball is tiring enough. He plays both, and cornerback's one of the hardest positions. Cornerback's right there, one of the hardest positions in football. And he makes unbelievable catches at receiver. He's up there. He could very well win it.
He is the ultimate athlete.
Yes. I mean, he's modern day Charles Woodson. Or Deion.
Yeah. His coach.
Yeah. That's why he played for Deion. I mean, he was committed to Florida State, and
nobody else would let him do it.
But
if you really think about it, everybody else would be like, pick position. We're not letting you play both sides.
Yeah.
Maybe not everybody, but the majority of coaches would be like, no, you're playing one side of the ball. We need you on one side. Because Deion did it, and he knows that Hunter's capable of doing it, he's like, I'm going to let you do it.
And then my 4th is Cam Ward, because he has literally Miami on his back.
So this is tough for me. I feel like it's become such a quarterback dominated award, but I feel like this year you have 2 guys that are worthy of it that aren't quarterbacks. So I feel like one of them should get it. So I have Jeanty and Hunter at right there next to each other. I know. Did Hunter miss a game from injury, or he missed some snaps? I think, but he didn't have a crazy wide receiver game. I think because he did have something was nagging him. Yeah. But still, I mean, then last week he had like 100 some odd yards receiving and 2 touchdowns or something crazy, and then obviously he makes crazy plays on defense too. But then you got Jeanty, who's obviously leading the nation in rushing yards, and he's just a total beast. But after that, I would go Gabriel and then Cam Ward. But I feel like one of those 2 guys deserve it. They're doing something we haven't seen in a long time, especially Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball. And then Jeanty, like you said, Barry Sanders-esque season.
Yeah. I mean, he's unbelievable. It's impossible to bring down.
Both of those guys are unbelievable.
Yeah.
So NFL, let's move to the NFL. I think we were going to start with our top 10 teams.
Yeah.
So give me your top 10 right now.
So my number 1 team is the Lions. Okay. Besides, I lost the Bucks. They've dominated.
I thought you were going to say the Steelers, maybe.
No, I'm not that biased. I know my Steelers. The Lions are the best team in football right now. I don't think it's close. Their defense is, even with Hutchinson, they're playing extremely well. And then Jared Goff's right there on the MVP candidate level. Chiefs are 2. I mean, they're 7-0. They haven't looked amazing, but they've looked good enough, and they're still the Chiefs. 3, I have the Bills. Got their butts kicked by the Ravens. Didn't play great against the Texans, but I think also Allen was like concussed that game. I mean, he lost consciousness on the field, but after that, other than that, they've looked really good. I have the Packers at 4. I think the Packers are really good. I love Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur together. I think that's a match made in heaven. I have the Ravens at 5. Obviously, they slipped up this week against the Browns, but it's the AFC North, so I guess anything can happen. Commanders at 6. Didn't play great this week, but still got it done on the Hail Mary. Dan Quinn's got the defense right. Jane Daniels is doing unbelievable things. And then I had the Texans. They're just, even though Diggs is out, they're a really good football team. The Eagles after that, they're good. Saquon's not lost a step at all. I know, running backs get older. They say they lose a step. Saquon looks like Saquon. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts is playing well. A.J. Brown's playing well.
Man, I love Jalen Hurts. I'm in the fantasy league with my dad, and man, I just love having him on my team because he always gets a rushing touchdown.
He had 35 points last week. And then at 9, I had the Steelers. One of the best defenses in football, even though they kept letting up a bunch of yards to the Giants, but they let up points.
I've got Steelers in my top 10. You'll see where they're at.
Special teams has been awesome. Whatever. We haven't missed an extra point yet. And I haven't missed an extra point. Punt block, field goal block, punt return touchdown yesterday or Monday. And then Russ, I was one of the biggest criticizers when that move happened. I thought Tomlin was an idiot. I was cussing out his name. And when Russ started off like crap, I was like, what are we doing? Take him out, please. Wouldn't take him out.
I was texting you.
And then, his deep ball has just brought a complete new dynamic. I thought Fields' legs brought the new dynamic. No, it's Russ's deep ball because teams are now not putting 8 people in the box every play like they used to, which gives Najee holes. And Najee's running like a whole different running back right now with Warren to go along with that. That offense is putting up 400 yards a game now, along with almost 30 points a game recently. And the Steelers look like a legit team, which I haven't said in years because we have an offense. And if they can keep putting things together, Russ keeps playing well, doing his thing, they can make a run. And then at 10, I have the Vikings. Lost 2 in a row.
Yeah.
But I still think they're a good football team. I don't know. I like him. I like Darnold. I think Darnold's a good quarterback, especially with KOC. I'm not sleeping on him yet. I know they lost 2 straight, but I'm not off them yet. I still think the Vikings are a good football team.
They're in my top 10. So my top 10 is Detroit at 1, obviously. I think they've looked amazing, except for, like you said, the slip up to the Bucs. But you're going to lose games in the NFL. Doesn't matter. I've got Buffalo at 2. Well, I love Buffalo. I love Josh Allen. I love the way he plays. And I think crazily, Stephon Diggs leaving has helped them. And Amari Cooper coming in is going to help Keon. It has freed Keon Coleman up a lot, which we've seen the past couple of weeks. And then I've got KC at 3. Just because, they've looked terrible, honestly. But they find ways to win, and it's insane. Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches ever, I'm going to say, just because he finds ways to win. It's crazy. At 4, I have the Commanders, actually. They played the bad game against the Bears, and they did win on the Hail Mary, but other than that, they put up a ton of points. And like you said, Quinn's starting to get that defense rolling. They weren't great at the start of the year, but they've given up a lot of points. But Daniels is an X factor, I feel like. And I'll admit I was not high on him when he came in the NFL. I thought he was just he padded his stats a lot at LSU because their defense was terrible last year, and so he played the whole game. I didn't really think he was worthy of the Heisman. But he's proved me wrong so far. And then at 5, I have the Packers. I think you had them at 4?
I had them at 4.
I've got Packers at 5. They might be better than the Commanders. That's close. But at 5, I've got for the Packers. Like you said, Jordan Love and LaFleur are great together. And I saw something that said that was like an Instagram reel or something, and it was like Jordan Love deciding if he wants to be Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers today. And then he's like, you know what, I'll just be both.
Yeah. He's going to make some throws. You're like.
He makes throws that look like Rodgers. The time he spent behind Rodgers has been great.
Think about what the Packers have done. They had Favre, and then Rodgers sits behind him. Yeah, maybe people don't understand why you get Rodgers there, but he sits for 4 years. Then Rodgers does what Rodgers does.
Yeah.
And then you get Love. People are like, "What are you doing? You
Yeah,
have
exact same situation. People are like, "What are you doing? Why would you draft this kid out of Utah State?" And then here he comes, and he's been amazing.
He might throw a pick or two but he's a gunslinger. He's going to let it fly. And he doesn't have the greatest receiving core, but he has a good receiving core. I mean, they're not like top 10 receivers, Dobbs, Watson, Jaden Reed, but they're all really good, and they're all good in their own ways. Like, Jaden Reed is a speedster. Dobbs is going to make a good catch. Watson's going to make a good catch. He's going to run a deep ball. He's very good deep ball.
Watson, you got Watson, who's a big guy. You got Reed, who, like you said, he's not big, but he can run.
Why?
And Dobbs is almost like a combination of both. He's not super big, but he's bigger than Reed, and he just makes good catches. He's where you need him to be.
Like, they're a good football team.
They're a solid team, and I think LaFleur's a good coach.
LaFleur's a great coach.
Out of the Shanahan tree, I mean,
he went 13-3 his first 3 years. Like,
6. I got your boys. I got the Steelers. They, like you said, with Russ, they've looked. With Fields, I mean, they looked pretty good with Fields, but the passing game wasn't really there.
Fields misses throws that he shouldn't.
He does.
And Russ
I love Justin Fields. I think if he does get to spend some time behind Wilson, yes, which obviously he's going to get to,
yes,
but the Steelers have to keep him also. I mean, because
they didn't pick up his 5th-year option.
Yeah,
the free agent.
So I think Fields spending time behind Wilson will be good. I thought Fields could translate to the NFL coming out of Ohio State, and obviously he wasn't bad for the Bears. And I think Caleb Williams is not that good. Obviously, I think Daniels has been better. I do not like Caleb Williams. I'm not gonna get into it a lot, but
okay.
7, I've got the Texans. I was a Stroud hater. And I'm really starting to think that it was Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Is the reason why I hated Stroud, because Ryan Day made him look bad. I thought Stroud wasn't a winner. Ryan Day's not a winner. So here we are talking about the NFL, and I'm still taking shots at Ryan Day, but that's just the truth of it. And Stroud has looked amazing, and I love him, man of faith. He's always talking about Christian. That's another thing about Daniels too. Like, after that game, he's talking all glory to God. Just wait till we talk about Jameis Winston.
Oh, Jameis! I mean, that was awesome. I love Jameis. I hate that Jameis Winston is a Cleveland Brown. That makes me so upset because I love it.
Number 8's the Vikings. They got Vikings at 8. I think last 2 weeks obviously haven't been what they were when they started out 5-0, but they're still a really good team. And I do like KOC. I like Kevin O'Connell. 9, I've got Baltimore. They dropped off for me after that loss to the Browns. I mean, the Browns have been terrible all year. And then you lose to them. Like you said, it's the AFC North, but still, you can't lose to the Browns after how they've looked. But, I mean, maybe Jameis is the X factor.
It's better than Deshaun. I've been saying
this. And then 10, I've got the Eagles. So I think we had all the same teams, just in different orders. Yeah. Honorable mention goes out to the 49ers. I love the Niners.
They're just weird. They do this every year. They start off, and then they just pick it up and win 8 straight games. I mean,
I love Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is a beast. We'll go with, I think next I've got Super Bowl prediction going into the halfway point. We're going into week 9, which is the halfway point. So my prediction is Buffalo versus Detroit. I think, like I said, those are my 2 top teams, and they're on opposite sides. And I think Detroit wins the NFC. We'll see. I think they play the Packers this week, so we'll really see. We'll really see how good they are. But I got Buffalo versus Detroit, and I got Buffalo winning it. And Buffalo gets their first Super Bowl. I don't know if they can. I'd love to see it, but that's what I've got.
I don't know if Buffalo's good enough defensively right now for them to be in my Super Bowl. I think Buffalo's obviously they're my number 3 team. Beginning of the year, my Super Bowl was Chiefs Packers, and I think it's a Lions Packers NFC Championship, and I think it's a Chiefs Bills Chiefs Ravens AFC Championship, and it's a Chiefs Lions Super Bowl, and I think the Lions defense the Chiefs.
I don't care who wins. I don't care who wins the Super Bowl as long as it's not the Chiefs. I'm tired of watching them win.
I love Dan Campbell.
Motor City Dan.
I love Dan Campbell. I'd run through a wall for that man.
I can't stand the Chiefs. I'm tired of seeing Taylor Swift. I don't like Mahomes. I mean, he's a great quarterback. I just don't like the way he acts. However, his wife did come out and support Trump. So we're not going to get political, but we're not getting political. But that boosted his liking for me. Let's talk about the Jets.
The Jets.
What in the world is my first point?
I love Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is the greatest thrower of football there ever was. But
say it.
He's just not good this year. He's not bad, but he's not good.
That's what I said. I love Aaron Rodgers, but
he just looks old.
It might be time to hang up the cleats.
He's just not Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it's probably, coming off an Achilles injury. It's one of the hardest injuries to come back from.
At 40 years old.
At 40 years old. He's going to be 41 soon. Like
I said, might be that time for Rodgers.
This is one of the best teams he's had, and they're 2-6. And maybe it's not all him. Maybe it's not all him, obviously.
Their O-line is suspect.
Their defense should be a lot better, but they're
on the field all the time.
They're on the field all the time.
That's the thing. Like, their defense is good. They've got good players, but when you're on the field all the time, it doesn't matter how good you are. The offense in the NFL is going to figure you out.
I mean, they've lost, 5 straight games? Like,
and they lost to the Patriots.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought for sure with Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, I was like, okay, they might have lost the first game with Adams, but I was like, they're going to beat the Patriots for sure. Well, Greg Zuerlein's been terrible too. How does that dude have a job?
Yeah.
He is the reason they lost that game. He missed a field goal and a PAT. If he makes a PAT, it's a tie game. They go to overtime.
They're just
I doubt the Patriots go for 2. I mean, they still might go for 2 at that point, but
they're just not a good football team in any facet. They're kind of if Zach Wilson was playing, this is what I would expect, but he's not. Yeah. It's Aaron Rodgers, and I think that so far the Aaron Rodgers experiment in New York has been a bust, and I think it's time. I hate to say it, but I think it's time for Rodgers to hang it up. Even though he said he tried this new cayenne pepper and water method, the fountain of youth that he called it, and so we'll see tomorrow night because they already play tomorrow night again, another primetime game for the Jets, sadly, and so we'll see what happens. But
with the cayenne pepper, I got to give shout out to Ben Mailer. Hopefully he's still watching. I mean, we've been going for an hour, so I doubt anybody will still be watching at this point, except for maybe my dad. But Ben Mailer texted me today, my birthday, and he said, I said, 2 decades. It's kind of crazy to think about 20 years, 2 decades. He said, I reckon you'll live for 12 more. And I said, 12 more? He said, yeah, I reckon you'll see 140. Then he just texted me a little while ago and said, I reckon if you start drinking cayenne pepper in your water, maybe you'll make it to 150. Oh, so just a little tidbit about cayenne pepper in the water.
They were giving him crap today, especially JJ. They had JJ Watt on the pat today. They were giving him JJ was like, I mean, cool, but it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. Let's move on from the Jets. It's just sad to think about Rodgers' downfall.
And
I think the Achilles injury really killed it. I think last year they could have been good, but the Achilles, and then he'll never be the same after that.
He's missing throws that he just didn't miss before.
And then he's Garrett Wilson. He's got hitting Garrett Wilson in the chest and it hits off of him.
Well, Garrett Wilson hasn't been good this year. I mean, he's missed a lot of drops. But he was wide open on that ball and it bounces off his chest into Beanie Bishop's hands. Like,
Jameis Winston.
I hate that he's a Cleveland Brown, as I say again.
But I love Jameis Winston.
I always loved Jameis Winston. I thought he was awesome at Florida State.
So I'm going to support him. I'm going to lift him up. Because I know what type of man he is.
I mean, play for the logo on your. Oh wait, we don't have a decal. Wait, so play for the Browns. He just says things that don't make sense.
His pregame
interview
Unwavering Faith.
Yeah, it was like,
Oh,
how are you
I
feeling
can't think.
today?
I gotta
Whatever.
pull it up. I gotta pull it up.
I mean, it was so. Yeah, he played what?
Unwavering faith.
He was the AFC Player of the Week. He had threw for 340 and 3 touchdowns. Like,
I mean, it is just hilarious. And then after Deshaun got hurt, that interview in the locker room might have been even better. I sent that to you.
yeah, I
Um,
saw it, but
I sent that to you. That was
there's never
that
a
was
bad
even
with him. I mean, remember his like weird drills he would do with his quarterback trainer?
I
Like,
mean,
this didn't make any sense.
well, now we see weird drills all the time. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's
especially
just
yeah. But like, he's the king of weird and funny. But like,
all right. All
there's
right,
like
here we go. Here's Jameis Winston pregame.
Jameis, I can tell you're taking it all in right now. You're about to make your first start since 2022. Ken Dorsey said that he's been preaching to you to play smart but not conservative. What do you expect from yourself?
This is the day that the Lord has made, and I will be glad and rejoice in it.
You're looking really focused right now. You told us this week that everyone inside this building believes that this is the time you guys can turn it around. What's been the message?
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, dependent on the Lord. That's all we got.
You told me no nerves, just excitement and butterflies. Still feel that way?
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, dependence on the Lord.
The message is clear, guys.
And it's not a bad message.
it's not.
It's
It's just
the way
like
he says it. The way he says everything. Just
I mean, he's like a preacher almost. Like he's like how he like puts pause and like give it like
the way he delivers what he has to say just cracks me up. Unwavering faith.
and his pregame like hype talks to his teammates are so funny always.
It's just great. I saw a video. He had like a rhyme with the Bucks when he played for the Bucks. He was a starter for the Bucks, and then Matt Patrick told him like after the game or something. He goes, I thought your pregame poem was a little long. It was really good. I liked it, but it was a little long. He's like, oh, okay. Like he took it to heart. He loves that stuff. I just wanted to bring that up because Jameis Winston is the ultimate character. Obviously, he is a man of faith, and I love that.
It's just hard not to root for him. He's just like there's no reason not to like Jameis Winston.
Even as a Steelers fan.
Yeah, like I like Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I just hate the Browns.
You
So,
hate
like,
the Browns.
I hope he throws for 300 yards a game, and I hope they lose every game.
But they lose, yeah. That's fine. I could not be rooting for the dude anymore. He's not a bad quarterback. He never has been. He had a turnover problem. Obviously, he had that year where he threw as many picks as he did touchdowns, but
yeah, and he threw 30-some touchdowns. Like I was 31 touchdowns, 31 picks. It was like Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. I think he's a good quarterback. He just what a guy. Anthony Richardson.
Sucks.
I wrote Anthony Richardson is awful. And I mean awful.
Yeah, he's talented as hell. But
he's played 6 games since high school. I mean that's what everybody keeps saying. Like he played at Florida State some, but not enough for anybody to draft him, especially as high as the Colts did.
And he's so talented, but his accuracy was like 40-some%. It's like the worst. Almost.
He was 2 for 13 at some point, and in the game.
And then to tap himself out.
That's crazy. But then they put him back in.
Yeah. I mean, Flacco, when Richardson got hurt against the Steelers, I was like, this is bad for the Steelers. Like, I would much rather face Anthony Richardson than Joe Flacco. Especially with Flacco. I mean, obviously, Flacco's played the Steelers 1,000 times. But Flacco's significantly better than Richardson. But you can't play Flacco. I mean, obviously, they are now because they kind of have to. But they couldn't play Flacco because Richardson was their first-round guy.
But he's been terrible. Stephen A. said about Deshaun Watson, he's awful.
Yes.
He's so awful. You talking about Deshaun Watson. He's so awful that if somebody wanted to arrest him for being awful, I wouldn't be mad about it. And it's honestly almost the same for Anthony Richardson. Obviously, he hasn't been as bad for as long as Watson because he hasn't played as long. And he looked pretty good last year before he got hurt. Pretty good. I mean, not great. Obviously, he didn't look like Daniels or Bo Nix. Bo Nix has looked pretty good.
Bo Nix
recently.
Sean Payton got him right.
But he's been terrible. I mean,
he's been
I feel bad for Colts fans, obviously.
because they probably could have 2 more wins right now if Flacco would have kept playing.
For sure.
There's no reason to take Flacco out. Just like the Browns had no reason to get rid of Flacco last year. In the playoffs, okay, bye. We got to bring Deshaun back, who did nothing for us.
You got any more quarterbacks you want to talk about?
Not really.
We're going to talk about our top 10. We're going to talk about our top 10 through week 8, but
oh yeah, we do have
anybody
top.
that you can really harp on.
Trevor Lawrence sucks. I don't know.
I don't know about sucks, but he's not as good as people thought he was going to be.
I just don't think. I mean, the Jaguars have been so disappointing since they were 8-3 last year. Like they were so good, and then they messed with terrible towel curse. They messed with terrible towel, and they've kept losing. So
Don't mess with terrible towel.
who else? Will Levis sucks. He's been disappointing this year. Trying to think. Kyler's had a good year. I thought Kyler Murray's had a pretty good year this year. Burrow's been Burrow. Who else? Drake May.
Josh Allen's only thrown 1 interception.
Oh yeah, I'll get in Josh Allen. He's in my top 10. But
He's in my top 10 for sure.
I mean, Drake
Somebody's
May.
probably going to say I'm racist for my top 10.
Drake May has looked good. So I don't think he's looked bad, so far.
Yeah.
Hasn't really have any weapons. So I think he's looked pretty decent. Tua looked good last week.
He did.
I mean,
I just hope he doesn't die on the field.
Yeah, I mean, he just has to avoid all head injuries, but
Doesn't have a brain bleed on the field, but
he looked good. I mean, he was doing some weird I don't even know what he was doing. He was fake it and throw underneath. It was.
I mean, he still underthrew deep balls, but
yeah, because he has no arm strength, but he's accurate underneath.
the Dolphins are a much better team when he plays.
Oh my gosh, I know they're terrible without him. I mean, they were so bad. I don't even understand how they're that bad. Because they had Tyler Huntley. Huntley went to a Pro Bowl, but he was the alternate the one year. But yeah, they were Dolphins sucked without him.
They were terrible.
Top
10. Let's go top 10. Let's go to top 10.
Here's what I got. Reigning MVP and most likely going to be the MVP again right now, Lamar. I know you hate him, but he's really good.
He's on my top 10.
At number 2, I have Goff. I mean, he has 5 incompletions the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He had the game where he had none. That's insane. I mean, he's an MVP candidate to me right now. At 3, I have Allen. He's without Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. I mean, obviously now he has Cooper, but even without Cooper, he looked really, really good. He's taking care of the ball, which is the first time.
Limited interceptions, which is huge.
First time in his career is actually taking care of the ball consistently. I mean, obviously he's always made the big plays, but now he's taking care of the ball. I still have Mahomes at 4. His numbers have been average at best, but he's still Mahomes, and he's Mahomes.
I think the only reason he made my top 10 is because they're 7-0. If they weren't 7-0, he would not be in my top 10.
But I think the Chiefs offense will figure out at some point, and they'll start getting real explosive again. At 5, I have Jaden Daniels. I know he's a rookie, but he's so good. It was hard to put him. I put him over Burrow just because Daniels is 6-2 and Burrow's 3-4. That's the only reason. 3-5, something like that. That's the only reason I have him over Burrow. But Burrow's also had a really good year. His defense just sucks.
It's that's what you. Well, I'm going to get into Burrow here in a minute because you're not going to like where I have him. But
I mean, I think Joe Burrow's. If Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow, he's top 3 quarterback in the NFL. At 7, I have Mayfield. Way too many picks. Way too many picks. But he's going to throw over 400 yards. But now he's missing.
I believe he leads quarterbacks in touchdown passes too.
Yeah. I mean, he slings it. He's awesome to watch. He just throws way too many picks. And now that Godwin's out for the year, I don't know, is Evans going to be back yet? Or
I don't know. I know Godwin's out though.
Godwin's out. Evans is hurt. So he's kind of limited on his receiver options, but he slings it. And then I have Darnold.
He's got the rookie from Washington, McMillan. So we'll see. I mean, he's going to be tested. We're going to see how good he is.
They don't ever use him. He was a dog at Washington, right behind the Dunze. But Yeah, they've used him a little bit more recently. I have Darnold at 8. At the beginning of the year, I thought he was an MVP candidate. I think he started to fall off a little bit, but I still think he's having a really, really good year. At 9, I have Hurts, just because Hurts, I mean, he can throw the deep ball, he can run. He's having a really good year this year, significantly better than last year, especially the end of last year when they were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I think he started to figure out again. Him and Sirianni have got it going, especially with the run game with Barkley. And then at 10, I have Cousins. Start of the year, I'm like, Kirk Cousins isn't Kirk Cousins. I mean, the Steelers made him look terrible. And then all of a sudden, I mean, the Falcons are good. Falcons are right there,
They're good.
especially with Bijan. And you got all this.
Yeah, they were right off my top 10. I mean, I could have gave them honorable mention.
Darnell Mooney was not a great receiver in Chicago, and he's what, wide receiver, like top 15 wide receiver in fantasy football right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kirk Cousins, and the way Kirk Cousins can just manipulate things, stand in the pocket, deliver a throw. Kirk Cousins is really good. And then I don't know. After that, it's kind of just the. Oh, you know who I forgot? I forgot Jordan Love.
Yeah, I did too. Now I think about it.
It's because he was hurt. I kind of forgot about him, and his stats weren't up there.
Yeah,
but
he's in there somewhere.
he's up. Yeah, he's in the top 10. I can't take any of them. I can't really take anybody out.
They're so hard. I think there's like a top. I think there's like a top 12 or 13 that are really hard to.
I mean, part of me wants to include Stafford in there. The way the Rams have been playing recently.
Yeah.
Gino's had a good year. Like quarterbacks have had a pretty good year besides the very bottom tier.
Okay. My number 1 is Burrow.
Okay, wow.
He's been so good, and his defense has failed. It's hard for me to blame some of the losses on him just because his defense has been so bad. But he is what you want out of a quarterback. He does the right things. He makes the right throws. He is the NFL quarterback that you want. 2, I've got Goff, like you said, just because he hasn't made mistakes, and he hasn't thrown incompletions the past 3 or 4 weeks. He's been on point. Obviously, he didn't throw for many yards last week because he didn't have to.
No, the ball was at the 30-yard line to play for every drive because their defense had however many turnovers.
And then I've got Allen at 3. Like you said, he's been taking care of the ball. Obviously, he can still he's a great runner of the football. He's taking care of the ball. I mean, 1 interception for Josh Allen through 8 weeks is crazy, and they jinxed him. Is the only reason he threw an interception. Aaron Andrews had the interview with him before the game or whatever, and was like, "Oh, you haven't thrown an interception yet all this year." And then my dad right away, "Oh, she just jinxed him," and he threw an interception. So I'm blaming the interception on the jinx. Obviously, he's going to throw more, but number 4, I've got Jackson. Lamar's been great this year. I still don't think he's a great thrower of the football, but
he's so dynamic with his legs.
But he doesn't have to be. Daniels at 5. I almost would say that Daniels is better than Jackson.
No,
but I can't yet because Daniels is almost as dynamic. Daniels can run, and he's more accurate than Jackson. But he just hasn't had the time in the league yet to solidify himself as better. But I think eventually he will be. I got Cousins at 6. He's been playing great. Stroud at 7. I got CJ in my top 10. Like I said, I hated Stroud at OSU because I felt like he wasn't a winner. But I'm blaming it on Ryan Day now. So I got Stroud at 7. Texans have looked really good. I got Mayfield at 8 just because of the interceptions. I switched him up with Goff. I had Mayfield at 2, but then I was like, no. So I moved him and Goff. people aren't going to like this, but I got Brock Purdy at 9.
Oh my.
I love Brock Purdy.
Okay, you're telling me Brock Purdy is better than Jordan Love right now. And
Well,
Purdy
I
was-
didn't think about Love because I was looking at stats and yards and stuff, and Love missed that game. So, but I've got Purdy in there. Purdy's a dog. He needs to bring the interceptions down. He has thrown more interceptions this year, but I just love Purdy. I love the 49ers. I love Shanahan is my thing. That's my thing. I love Shanahan. I love that he likes to run the ball. So if his quarterback's got good stats, he's going to be in my top 10. And then I've got Mahomes at 10 just because he's been terrible. He's thrown more interceptions this year than he has touchdowns. So it was hard for me to put him in my top 10. But his team's 7-0. So how can you keep the only team that's undefeated? How can you keep him out
enough
here?
plays. Their defense does enough, but he makes enough plays. Even with Kelsey not being as dominant as he has been, they find ways to win every week. Every single week, they find ways to win.
I'll switch Purdy and Love. I'll put Purdy at 11. Love's at 9. Love might be higher than that though, but Love's in my top 10. I'll bump Purdy out.
Yeah. All right, you ready to games?
Yep. Texans Jets tomorrow night.
Texans. The Jets are favored. That's the wild thing. The Jets are
They
favorites. They're 2-point favorites over the Texans.
Oh my gosh, that's like printing money.
But yes, Texans.
Dolphins Bills.
I have the Bills. Even with Tua back, still think the Bills.
Broncos Ravens.
It's in
Denver, I believe.
no, it's in Baltimore.
It's the Ravens, and I got Ravens.
I think it's the Ravens. I mean, Bo Nix has looked good recently. The Broncos have looked really good, but I still think it's the Ravens.
Saints Panthers.
Saints.
Yeah,
Even if Carr's not playing, Panthers suck.
they're terrible. Raiders Bengals.
Bengals. Raiders aren't good.
No. Commanders Giants.
Commanders.
Yep. Cowboys Falcons.
I have the upset. I'm taking Dallas.
No.
I'm taking Dallas.
No.
I
no,
think
no.
they figure it out this week. I think they have been bad. I don't think the Cowboys are actually that bad of a football team. They're too talented. Mike McCarthy's too good of a football coach. I think they figured out this week against Atlanta, and because it's just not that hard to play in Atlanta. They don't have a great. I mean, fans travel well to Atlanta, take over
Well,
the
McCarthy's
stadium.
going to get himself fired if he doesn't start winning games.
Yeah, but they're just too talented. They are.
I got
think
the
they beat
Falcons.
I think they beat Atlanta.
I got the Falcons. Pats Titans. Battle of two terrible teams.
Patriots because they won last week.
I
What was the
I went with Pats.
I love Mason Rudolph after what he did last year for the Steelers, but I don't know. The Titans are suck. The Patriots aren't very good, but they won last week. They beat the Bengals, so screw it. Let's take the Patriots.
Bears Cardinals.
I don't know. The Cardinals are weird. Like, they're good. They're average. They're good. I don't know. The Bears are, I think, good. I just think it depends on how Caleb Williams plays, but I'm taking Chicago.
I got the Cardinals. I think
taking
Kyler Murray's played well, and he's starting to make a connection
Here's the
with
thing.
Harrison.
Here's the thing. It's Call of Duty weekend. You know what happens when Call of Duty comes out or something happens with Call of Duty? Kyler Murray goes downhill. Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty, I heard everybody's just playing, just came out.
I don't know.
And
I think him and Harrison are starting to make a connection. I think they're going to win. I think if him and Harrison really start to get on the same page,
Kyler's going to be on the sticks. Williams is going to get him right. Chicago's going to win.
yeah, doing his nails maybe. Cardinals are going to win. Jags Eagles.
Eagles.
Eagles. Lions versus Pack.
In
This
Lambeau.
one's tough. This one's
In
tough.
Lambeau. Give me Green Bay. I know the Lions are my number one team right now. Lions are my number one team. I know. But in Lambeau, give me Green Bay. Give me Green Bay.
I've got the Lions. I just can't. The way they played the past 2 weeks, I can't go against
Yeah,
them.
I
And,
know.
and golf has been so good.
I
So
think
good.
it'll be a tight one. I think it'll be, 27-24, something like that.
It'll be a good game.
26, if something got MCDC wants to go for 2 or a couple times. I don't know, but
Well, here's my thing about the Packers is LaFleur is a great coach, but if he does get a lead, he'll just take his foot off the gas.
yeah,
It's like
Here's
they
the
play so conservative, and it's just like they let teams back into the game and then they lose.
if the Lions had Hutch, I'd take the Lions. Without Hutch, I don't think they get as much pressure on Love, and Love picks them apart a little bit.
I think it'll be a good game.
I mean, they played the Titans last week. Titans suck.
It'll be a good game, and the Lions might have the best running back duo in the league.
They have the best running back duo.
And so
David
It's gonna
Montgomery.
be a good game.
Did you see that pass he threw last week? That was a dot. I think it was a
That was-
tight perfect
dude,
spiral
I
over
said
the
that.
corner, over to Laporta. I mean, that was a dot.
If Goff gets hurt, they might as well put him in.
Yeah.
Next game, Rams versus the Seahawks in Seattle.
Seahawks have not been a good football team as of late. 3-0 to start, have been bad. Rams getting hot. Stafford playing really well. Cup's back. Nakua's back. Give me LA.
Kupp and Nakua are back.
They both played last week. They went to Minnesota. They beat Minnesota. They played in LA, but they beat Minnesota.
It's in Seattle. That is a tough place to play.
Yeah. Bills seem to have no trouble last week.
Kupp and Nakua.
I think the Rams are
Give
good.
me the Rams. I'm switching it up. Give me the Rams. Colts Vikings
Flacco's back.
with Flacco.
Vikings lost 2 in a row. They're reeling a little bit. Elite quarterback Joe Flacco.
But
And
the Vikings might be reeling, but they got shafted in that game.
yes, that was a face match.
They had a chance to drive down the field and tie the game.
Yes,
and
it was
The
an
ref
awful-
missed a blatant call.
I don't know. I'm taking the upset. I think it's going to be an upset type weekend. Obviously, I've taken a lot of upsets. I could be completely wrong, but I don't know. I don't know why.
I
But
got the Vikings on Sunday Night Football.
I think I want to take the Vikings. If Richardson was playing, I'd pick the Vikings right away. But I don't know. I just think Joe Flacco's that good. I think he is. I think he's still that good.
It is.
Not
It is in Indianapolis, I believe.
Minnesota.
I got the Vikings.
I'm taking Indy.
Last game, Monday Night Football, Bucks, Chiefs.
Chiefs go down. Bucks win. Baker
Yes.
finally plays well.
Yep, I got Bucks.
Even though the Chiefs are at home, give me the Bucks. I think the Bucks. I think they're good. I think they're good. I think they've struggled a little bit in the past, but I think the Bucks are good. I think they're a good football team. And I think they're gonna. I think the Bucks are a legit contender in the NFC if they can just Baker can just stop throwing picks and the defense can tighten up a little bit.
I got the Bucks. I got the Bucks. Well, I believe that was all we had.
It is.
So, if anybody is still listening, which I doubt there is anybody still listening, possibly my dad, maybe one of your family members,
So my brother already texted me, asked what time the podcast is coming out tomorrow.
maybe some of my family members. Sorry if I used any profane language, but let's end the podcast on a positive note, and I almost want to do a prayer to send us off, but I don't really know what I would say. I need to bring a Bible verse out. But this week, let's just end with a quote. I've got a quote. Been in my Instagram bio for forever. So we'll send you off with this quote. Perfection isn't attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Vince Lombardi. So everybody go out there and try to catch excellence. Like I said, if you're still watching, like and subscribe. Thank you.
Peace.